We would invite all who would care to join us in a recitation of the Lord's Prayer, followed by a moment of silence. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
It is now 7 o'clock. Shelby City Council is called to order. Remain standing, please, for our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated, please. Roll call, please, Mr. Crum.
Mr. Robb. Here. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Gates. Here. Mr. Martin.
Here.
Mr. McLaughlin.
We were informed earlier that 2 council members would not be able to attend this evening. We have a motion to excuse both.
Mayor, I move to excuse council members McLaughlin and Roberts.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Gates and a second by Mr. Martin to excuse Councilmember McLaughlin and Councilmember Roberts. Discussion?
Mayor, for the record, the reasons for their absences.
Councilmember McLaughlin, I believe, was called his air guard duty, and Mr. Roberts had a family function that he was attending.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
That motion passes. Thank you.
Mayor, I move to name Councilman Robb as Vice President pro tempore.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. Gates and a second by Mr. Martin to name Councilman Robb as the Vice President tempore for this evening. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
That motion passes. Thank you. Now entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal from February 21, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martin, a second by Mr. Gates to dispense with the reading of the journal from February 21, 2023. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
That motion passes. We now come to the time for public comment on the agenda. If there's anyone in the council chambers that wants to make public comment, they can come down to the podium, state name and address, and make comment. Seeing and hearing none, we'll move forward to reports from standing and special committees. And we do have a rarity this evening. The Community and Economic Development Committee, there was no meeting, and Councilman McLaughlin is not here this evening. Public Works and General Operations Committee, there was no meeting. Councilmember Roberts here. The Safety Committee did not meet. That was under the tutelage of Councilmember Roberts, and the Parking Committee did not meet. That's under the tutelage of Councilmember Roberts. However, I will say for the record that we did have a committee of the whole meeting on February 25th at 9 a.m. and also a committee of the whole meeting on March the 1st at 3:15 p.m. And as the President of the Council, I'll just briefly report that both meetings everyone was well prepared, and the discussions were carried out thoroughly, and hundreds of line items were reviewed, and it looks like we have that piece of legislation will be available and ready for a vote at our next meeting. I think that pretty well summarizes the committee of the whole meeting. We now come to reports of city officials, and I do have a proclamation this evening, and I'm so glad that Ms. Kathy Webb is here this evening with her husband, and so I want to thank Councilmember Gates for working on this proclamation. And Ms. Webb, if you'd be so kind, this is a proclamation for you, so if you'd be so kind as to stand here at the podium, and I will deliver this proclamation of recognition and celebration declaring March 9th, 2023 as Kathleen Webb Day in the city of Shelby. Whereas Kathleen Webb began work as a library director at Marvin Memorial Library on November the 26th, 2012, and in her 10 years of service made the small independent library a shining example through enhanced patron service, including implementation of interlibrary loan system, implementation of patron programs for computer and genealogy classes, and led a major book collection restructuring effort which included more online options in reference, ebooks, e-audiobooks, and online movie rentals, and whereas Ms. Webb encouraged library staff to consider their interests and hobbies for library displays and programs. As a result, the library offers well-attended clubs in gardening, knitting, cooking, and book discussion. Staff members conduct home school programs, study buddies, family art nights, and art nights and teen events. Ms. Webb collaborated with the Shelby Foundation and the Buckeye Imagination Museum to bring children's exhibits to the library. These events have had a significant impact on young lives, as well as enrichment for adults and seniors. And whereas Ms. Webb's personal interest in genealogy enabled her to become the de facto expert at the library. She hired a professional genealogist to teach in-person and online genealogy classes, expanding the library's reach to include participants throughout Richland County and in states beyond interested in learning more about Shelby history. She joined the Richland County Shelby chapter of the Ohio Genealogical Society and became recording secretary. She encouraged the genealogy chapter to begin meeting at the library again and to volunteer in the Marvin Room. And whereas at Ms. Webb's direction, more than 120 years worth of microfilm Shelby Daily Globes, as well as other local newspapers dating to the 1860s, were digitized and placed in a repository online. This has been a godsend for historians, genealogists, and city staff to be able to conduct online research. Ms. Webb researched library and city history and commissioned a historical mural for generations to enjoy. Now therefore I, Stephen L. Shagg, Mayor of the City of Shelby, State of Ohio, do by here proclaim March 9th, 2023 as Kathleen Webb Day. As Ms. Webb retired March 1st, 2023, we celebrate her more than 33 years as a librarian and 10 years as director at Marvin Memorial Library. Her contributions to fellow genealogists and to the Shelby chapter have been immeasurable. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Shelby to be affixed on this 6th day of March, 2023. And I think all of us at this table understand how much work you put into our Marvin Memorial Library. And Kathy, when she came to our Community and Economic Development Committee meetings, she was always well prepared. You always had things to hand out, and again, outlining what the library was doing. And we were at the library today with the Rotary Club. It is fascinating to see how many events now are taking place, and for all ages across the city of Shelby. And I think this all really had you had a great part in the genesis of this renewed activity at the library. So I personally thank you on behalf of the council members and the city of Shelby. And I don't know if any of our other council members want to make a statement or not.
Just a brief one. Of course, Mayor, I served 20 years on the Marvin Library Board, and perhaps the greatest thing that the board accomplished, because it's a board decision, but to bring Kathy to Shelby as our director was a decision that has benefited the city, the school district, since she's been here, and will benefit both the city and the school district for many years to come.
I agree. Thank you very much. So Kathy, thank you so much for coming and represent this on behalf of the city. You want to say a few words? Huh? Well, sure. Always happy. You want to say a word or two?
Well, I think Arlen summed up
Yeah.
a great deal of what I had in my head. I thank you very much. This is certainly an honor. It's a completion of a road that I enjoyed following. I look back, I thought I was coming to direct a small one. No. There was so much in creating a meeting place, in encouraging staff, in just trying new things, in reaching out to the library community as a whole. This is not a small library. This is a library that has statewide influence and beyond. And by the grace of God, it has come to be. And I'm glad I could be a part of it. Thank you.
A huge part. Thank you very much. Wonderful.
Mayor, perhaps Ms. Webb wants to introduce
Yes.
someone.
Please.
My husband, Michael, he has stood behind me as I have worked in a different community. He's been on the home front and faithful there. Cindy Jones is part of the Shelby Genealogical Society. I assume representing Christine the Train, who is ill this evening.
Yes.
But I have fun friends.
You've been a good group of friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming, both of you. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Councilman Gates. Continuing with my report since our last council meeting, I have been occupied with typical duties. February 21st, along with Mr. Geis, Mr. Hensman, and Ms. Gribben, and Mr. Dean, I completed a CPR training program provided by our very own Health Department's Director, Nurse Jeannie Coolard. And Mr. Dean described it as one of the best that he's ever attended. On February 25th, of course, we held our committee of the whole meeting. February 27th, I swore in Mr. Ethan Yates as patrol officer at City Hall, a great addition to our police department. On February 27th, I hosted the monthly Richland County Mayor's Luncheon at City Hall, and we had a great time of discussion at that meeting. On March the 1st, I joined many other dignitaries and volunteers at the Richland County New Hope bowling event, which was held at Lex Lanes to draw attention to March as Developmental Difficulties Awareness Month. And then on March the 1st also, we did a whole meeting that evening. Then on March the 3rd, Chief Combs arranged a very nice public event that featured the swearing in of 2 new patrol officers, as well as the recognition of recent additions and promotions at the Shelby Police Department. And so that is my report for this evening. Are there any comments or questions for me? Mr. Gates.
Mayor, I'm wondering about the current vacancy on the Civil Service Commission. We're now, I think, into the 4th month that we've had that vacancy. I know that Mr. Norm Shoemaker has applied for that, for that seat, and I was wondering what's going on with that process.
3 applications are on my desk, and there's 1 more inquiry to make, but try to get that filled as soon as possible.
Okay.
But thank you for that reminder.
While we're on that same vein, the Floodplain Management Commission, it's a 9-member commission, and there's only 2 members at present on that body. It last met in 2018. I'm wondering if, I'm I'm wondering, well, obviously its status is inactive. And I don't know that anyone has used the right verb here. I don't know that it's been necessary that the commission meet in this 4-year period. So, you know, the question is, there's two, you know, about filling the vacancies, and the other part is, you know, should that commission be sunsetted?
I will give that serious consideration. I agree. Those questions have crossed my mind as well. I think at the formation of that commission, when things were, we had a lot on our plates in dealing with floodplain management and all the studies and groups coming in and out. I think the commission served a great role that I will give that serious consideration of continuation of that commission.
I would certainly agree with you that, you know, in the initial years, it was active, it met regularly, and, you know, discussed any number of things. But as we've moved through the process, you know, through the Muskingum process, and now, you know, with the ditch petition, which may quite honestly be the ultimate that can be done with the Black Fork. Again, it may be time to say, you know, thank you for your good work and move on.
I will have a decision by next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, Mr. Crum, it's your turn, Director of Finance.
Thank you, sir. I think you guys all heard plenty of me through about 8 hours of the 2 committee of the whole meetings for appropriations. Once again, thank you to everybody, both in here and also throughout city government, helping to make that happen. The only other major project I've been working on was the financials for the health department. Even though they're audited every 2 years, we still have to submit financials, and I create those in-house so that we don't have to contract a third party to do that. I did review the notes that the auditor had last year. I made those adjustments in the reporting, so we should not get those notes this time around. Only other news, I do have the end of the month numbers in income tax collection. They're slightly above February of last year, but you know, it's all in who decides to file their tax return when. So slight uptick. We'll see how March and April come through. But just a reminder for everybody, I think it's April 18th this year is the due date for tax returns. And everybody 18 or older is required to file. So please ensure citizens know. That's sure is really all I have to report.
Mr. Crum, are there any comments or questions for Mr. Crum? Mr. Gates.
Mayor, go back to the previous city audit. Is the municipal court, have those 2 issues been resolved?
I did receive, there was inquiry made since our last meeting. I did receive an email from the judge, and I don't know if you received the same one, but she plans on giving us another progress report this week from what they've been doing. I say us, I mean myself and of course
Sure.
the finance director who knows what to look for. Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Crum. Mr. Eisler, Law Director.
No report, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Joe Geis, Project Coordinator.
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. We had a bid opening scheduled for Clark courts, for the pickleball courts, and there were no bids received, so we will find out what's going on and see what we can do to help that. Our bid opening for our paving project is this Friday at 10 a.m. And I'm just continuing to work on all the other projects in your council.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions for Mr. Geis? I will move on to new business. Any new business that are brought before council this evening? Councilman Gates.
Mayor, during the second of our committee of the whole meeting, the matter of the city's labor consultant came up. during that meeting, the fire chief, the police chief, and the deputy finance director expressed their dissatisfaction with the services that we're currently receiving. Don't mean to put words in his mouth, but I called and spoke with Mr. Ensman, and he echoed the sentiments that had been expressed. The clerk has passed out copies of the current agreement that we have with Clemens Nelson and Associates, as well as letters saying what their rates, hourly rates would be. This management consultant agreement commenced on May 1st of 1998. It was signed by the then mayor. For what it's worth, Department, I looked today briefly for a resolution authorizing this contract. I did not find one. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that in my brief look, I didn't see one. It's probably irrelevant at this point. They've been sending bills and we've been paying them for, you folks can do the math, however many years, 20 plus years. So, but the last part of the contract, the bottom of page 2 of 4, this agreement shall automatically be renewed for successive one-year periods on its anniversary date, which is May 1st, unless either party provides written notice to the other party during the last 30 days of any annual contract period of their desire to terminate the agreement. Goes on, the client, that's us, shall be notified in writing not less than 60 days prior to the anniversary date of the agreement of any general increase in consultant rates, which shall not become effective until the effective date the contract renews. So we are, most contracts like this do have a notification. This one says the notification is during the last 30 days of annual contract period. That tells me that it could be 2 days prior to May 1st, and that's still within the 30 days. Again, since there seems to be pretty widespread dissatisfaction with the services that the city is receiving at present, I think it is wise that the city look elsewhere. I don't know what companies are out there, but I'm sure there are plenty. There were plenty who wanted the city's business when I was at City Hall. I can't imagine it changes, or has changed. You know, when I received professional services from someone with whom I was not satisfied, I looked elsewhere. So I think the city has to be likewise in this case. And where it would need to begin, and again within that 30 days, is that you, Mayor, as the contracting officer for the city, should notify Clemens Nelson that we wish to discontinue this contract, and I'm making that request of you. Now, I know that the state law provides a process when we are getting engineering or architectural design services, a process to go through where we get, we send out a request for proposals or whatever the RF, whatever. But I think that process is one that would work quite well in a situation like this. Again, we are requesting professional services where they give us an outline of who works for them and their qualifications and their current clients and so on, and that we can have someone in place to pick up where a new labor consultant would have to pick up.
All right, I will certainly take that request of yours into consideration on some further consultations, and we'll see what develops in the days ahead.
And I'm requesting that the clerk put this under, next agenda is under unfinished business, labor consultant.
Thank you. And further new business. Unfinished business, future use of Main Street Fire Station. I said in this first quarter, we'll have word to you, so that's another assignment for this meeting for the mayor to have a word on the future use of the Main Street Fire Station. Any other unfinished business? All right, if not, let's go to legislation.
Ordinance number 5, 2023, authorizing the Consumer Price Index, CPI, to be adjusted upward above the allowable percentage for the language in the E, rate adjustment provision of Chapter 1044, sewer charges, Section 1044.02, conditions of service rate schedule of the codified ordinances of the city of Shelby, Ohio.
Move for third reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martin, a second by Mr. Robb for the third reading of ordinance number 5, 2023. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
Ordinance number 5, 2023 passes its third reading.
Move for the passage of ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martin, a second by Mr. Robb for the passage of ordinance number 5, 2023. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
Ordinance number 5, 2023 passes.
Ordinance number 6, 2023, authorizing the Consumer Price Index, CPI, to be adjusted upward above the allowable percentage for the language in Rule 43 of Chapter 1040, Water, Section 1040.04, Rules, Regulations, and Fixed Charges for Municipal Water System of the codified ordinances of the city of Shelby, Ohio.
Move for third reading.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martin, a second by Mr. Gates for the third reading of ordinance number 6, 2023. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
Ordinance number 6, 2023 passes its third reading.
Move the ordinance be taken up and passed.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Martin, a second by Mr. Gates for the passage of ordinance number 6, 2023. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
Ordinance number 6, 2023 passes.
Ordinance number 8, 2023, amending section 204.03, commemorative dates of chapter 204, official standards of the codified ordinances of the city of Shelby.
Move for second reading. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Gates and a second by Mr. Robb for the second reading of ordinance number 8, 2023. Discussion. Mr. Martin.
Mayor, I wish to be added as a sponsor.
Mr. Crum, will you make that notation, please? Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
Ordinance number 8, 2023 passes its second reading. We now come to miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous business to be brought before council this evening? Mr. Gates.
Mayor, move council adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Gates and a second by Mr. Martin for adjournment. Roll call, please.
Mr. Robb.
Yay.
Mr. Gates.
Yay.
Mr. Martin.
Yay.
The motion passes. Council adjourns at 7:28.
I can still get my kids bathed before dinner.